It's just the nerves, the anticipation you feel naturally.
And Baby Sis has finally won.
It's hard because it's hard.
There's no counter punching, there's no pushing, there's just aggressions.
I would prefer to play someone else, but I do enjoy the battle when I'm out there.
That is truly marvelous tennis there from Serena Williams.
Rivalries. They're the heartbeat of sports, pushing athletes beyond their limits and creating moments that transcend the game. From the roar of the crowd to the tension on the field, court, or ring, rivalries captivate us, leaving an imprint on sports history.
The greatest individual rivalry in basketball, you and Larry. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, NCAA tournament still was the most watched NCAA finals game in NCAA history. Right. How much did you know about Larry Bird prior to that game?
The first time I saw Larry Bird was actually in a magazine. Saw his stats, blown away by his stats. But let's see if he can really do it against us. And that's always a mindset of black players if he's a great white player.
But what makes a rivalry truly unforgettable? It's more than just competition. It's the clash of personalities, the stakes of legacy, and the fight for dominance that turns these moments into something larger than life.
Let's it go.
Today, we dive into the greatest rivalries in sports history. Stories that define not only the athletes, but the very sports they play. Whether it's the fierce battles in the NBA, the unforgettable bouts in the boxing ring, or the sibling showdowns on the tennis court, these rivalries are a testament to the passion, dedication, and emotion that makes sports so compelling. Let's explore the rivalries that changed everything.
He put it on the line, brother. The representation that he gave to the black community will never be forgotten, no matter what.
I am the greatest.
In the 1980s, the NBA found itself at the center of one of the most iconic rivalries in sports history: Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird. Two men, two different styles of play, and two teams locked in a battle for basketball supremacy. But this rivalry didn't just start in the NBA. It began years earlier, when a young Magic Johnson, playing for Michigan State, faced off against Larry Bird's Indiana State in the 1979 NCAA championship game. That night, Magic's team triumphed, and the story was far from over. When Magic was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers and Bird by the Boston Celtics, their rivalry took center stage in the NBA. The Lakers, known for their fast-paced Showtime offense, were the perfect match for Magic's flashy, high-energy play. On the other hand, Bird's Celtics were tough, physical, and methodical, a reflection of Bird's gritty, non-nonsense approach. Their contrasting styles not only defined their teams, but also became symbolic of the East Coast versus West Coast dynamic. Over the course of their careers, Magic and Bird faced off in 3 NBA Finals, with the Lakers taking 2 titles and the Celtics 1. Each time, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The games were intense, the tension palpable, and the rivalry fierce. Yet, what made this rivalry so captivating wasn't just the battles on the court. It was the respect they developed for each other off of it. At first, Magic and Bird were far from friends. The media played up their differences, and the competitive fire kept them at odds. But over time, as they played against each other in some of the biggest moments in NBA history, a deep mutual respect began to form. By the end of their careers, they had not only pushed each other to greatness, but also became close friends.
But that, according to the documentary, that was the beginning of a friendship. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's accurate. We really didn't say too much once I arrived. We actually had never really interacted with each other. So we got to the basketball court. We shot the first half of the commercial. Then it was lunch break. And so I'm going to my trailer thinking I'm gonna eat alone and he's gonna go. He said, no, my mother has prepared lunch for us up at the house. So I was like, uh-oh. All right.
The Magic-Bird rivalry is credited with saving the NBA, bringing it to new heights of popularity and setting the stage for what the league would become. It was more than just Lakers versus Celtics. It was a clash of basketball philosophy, a showcase of two all-time greats, and a rivalry that inspired a generation of fans. Magic and Bird weren't just rivals, they were legends, forever intertwined in the history of the game. Few rivalries in sports have been as fierce, personal, and historic as Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. This wasn't just a battle of two great boxers, it was a clash of ideologies, personalities, and the very essence of what it meant to be a champion. Their rivalry spanned 3 legendary fights, each more intense than the last, and it captivated the world in a way no other sporting event could. It all began in 1971 with what was called the Fight of the Century. Ali, having been stripped of his title for refusing to be drafted into the Vietnam War, was making his comeback. Frazier, the reigning heavyweight champion, stood in his way. Both men were undefeated, and the tension was electric. In front of a sold-out Madison Square Garden and millions watching worldwide, Frazier shocked the world by defeating Ali in a brutal 15-round battle, solidifying his place at the top of the sport. But Ali wasn't done. The rematch came in 1974, and this time, the stakes were even higher. Ali, determined to reclaim his throne, fought with a relentless energy, outpointing Frazier to even the score. Their rivalry was now tied, and the world knew it would all come down to one final fight. The final chapter came in 1972 in what is known as the Thrilla in Manila. This fight was unlike anything the boxing world had ever seen. Both men pushed themselves beyond their limits in the scorching heat of the Philippines. After 14 rounds of brutal punishment, Frazier's corner finally called off, giving Ali the victory. But in that moment, both men had been changed forever. Ali famously said afterward, "It was the closest thing to dying that I know." Their rivalry was more than just 3 fights. It was about 2 warriors who embodied strength, resilience, and an undying will to win. Ali and Frazier's battles were filled with drama, emotion, and mutual respect, and they remain some of the greatest moments in sports history.
Because, it's sad because, he's a great guy, and hoping that maybe he could, live the kind of life that we live, I'd love to see him do that, because he earned that.
The rivalry between Serena and Venus Williams is unlike any other in sport. Not only are they 2 of the greatest tennis players of all time, but they're also sisters, raised on the same courts, sharing the same journey. Yet, when they face each other off, all of that is set aside and competitive fire takes over. Their first major showdown came at the 2001 US Open, a night match under the lights of Arthur Ashe Stadium. Venus emerged victorious, becoming the first Williams sister to win a Grand Slam when facing the other. But Serena's resolve was unshaken, and just 1 year later at the 2002 French Open, she turned the tables, defeating Venus in straight sets to claim the title. That victory would set off a chain of dominance, with Serena winning their next 4 Grand Slam final encounters, including a hard-fought battle at Wimbledon in 2003, where she triumphed in a thrilling 3-set match. Another defining moment came in the 2008 Wimbledon final, with Venus returning the favor, defeating Serena in straight sets to secure her 5th Wimbledon title. It was a battle of power and precision, both sisters playing some of the best tennis of their careers. The tension was palpable, but once the last point was won, Venus walked over to Serena. The rivalry momentarily set aside as they shared a warm embrace at the net. Their rivalry wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about 2 sisters pushing each other to be better, to elevate the sport. Whether it was the dramatic 3-setter at the 2015 US Open, where Serena was chasing the elusive calendar Grand Slam, or their first encounter in a Grand Slam final back in 2002, each match was a unique chapter in a story that defined tennis itself. In NFL, one rivalry has captured the imagination of football fans unlike any other. For over a decade, 2 quarterbacks defined an era of excellence, their duels often determining who would represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Their rivalry wasn't just about stats, it was about legacy, precision, and the battle to be remembered as the greatest of all time. It was Peyton Manning against Tom Brady. One of the most memorable clashes came in the 2006 AFC Championship game. Manning, with the weight of his playoff struggles on his shoulders, led an improbable comeback against Brody's New England Patriots. Down 21-3, Manning orchestrated a 38-34 victory, punching his ticket to his first Super Bowl and solidifying his place among the game's elite. This was a defining moment, as Manning finally conquered the hurdle of beating Brady in the playoffs, showing the grit that had often eluded him in the postseason. On the other hand, Brady had already established himself as the ultimate winner. With 3 Super Bowl rings by the time Manning won his first, Brady was the definition of clutch, and many of the regular season battles were tight, strategic, and intense. Take the 2013 showdown, for instance, when Brady led the Patriots back from a 24-0 halftime deficit to defeat Manning's Denver Broncos in overtime, a game that added another thrilling chapter to their rivalry. Their final playoff meeting in 2016 saw Manning, now with the Broncos, outduel Brady one last time in the AFC Championship. Despite Brady's incredible efforts, the Broncos' defense held on, and Manning would go on to win the second Super Bowl and retire on top. Brady versus Manning wasn't just a rivalry of great quarterbacks. It was the epitome of football excellence, where each game felt like a battle for history. These rivalries have given us some of the most unforgettable moments in sports history, clashes of titans that will be talked about for generations to come. Which rivalry is your favorite one? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the greatest rivalries in sports, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Athlete Aura for more stories that bring you closer to the legends.